What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Monday, November 18th, 2019. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside that nerdy site's Trevor Starkey.
Thank you for having me, Greg.
Thank you for coming in, Trev. Good to see you.
You as well.
Been too long.
It has. It's been a couple years since I've been out here.
I was going to say, when's the last time you were on camera on a Kind of Funny product?
Was
it your Gamescast?
No. Okay. My Gamescast I did, that was back in the spare bedroom days.
Right?
2015.
Yeah.
Gamescast 21, if you want to go
there
back and listen to it. We talk about Vita Essentials.
And we're like, it'll never die.
Yeah, right.
This thing will be here forever.
But the last time I was out here and on camera was I made a cameo on The Morning Show back when I was out here for IGN's 20th anniversary.
Oh, okay.
So I still had the longer hair at the time and everything. But yeah, it's been a couple years. And then I kind of took a nice long break of not creating anything.
Yeah.
And then a few months ago, I was like, I want to get back into creating stuff. And so a couple weeks ago, we launched That Nerdy Site.
And that's why you're here. Tell me what That Nerdy Site's all about.
That Nerdy Site is a home for podcasts, video, and written content for all of the nerdy things we love. I did Trevor Trove for many years, kind of going it alone, and I looked around at people like OK Beast and Irrational Passions.
Sure.
And
Clowns, both groups.
Yes. Yeah. Blessing
Alex O'Neill.
Alex
Here's
O'Neill.
a selfie. This is all I post. Do something.
I love Persona 4 Gold.
Right? And he just leans on all of the people he works with.
All right. Let's be kind to the community, guys. I haven't watched lately. So it's very fair. I've been looking at them recently. The analog I've been making was I kind of look at them as like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men of the kind of funny community in terms of the content creators out there. And so I decided to kind of create the Avengers, where I didn't want to go it alone with Trevor Trove anymore, so That Nerdy Site, I kind of partnered with Logan Wilkinson, who formerly of Irrational Passions. He's kind of out there. I think of myself as Iron Man, T. Stark, Tony Stark, Trevor Starkey.
Okay, sure.
Logan is very much the Captain America to my Iron Man, and then we kind of also have up and comer Chloe doing some video or some film podcast stuff with us. Pixel Brave Christian Puente is out there, and then a handful of other kind of community members: Cameron Abbott, Jazz Foster. I don't want to forget them: Frank Bazzani and who's the eighth? Why am I blanking on this? Oh, crap.
You know what I mean?
I should have written this down.
Their resignation will be in your email.
Ben?
Yes, Ben Bellevue.
There you go.
Thank you. The host of our That Wannabe film class.
Yeah.
Ben Bellevue in the community. I'm sorry, Ben. I'm so sorry.
Ben's
so 8 of us kind of out there creating content. And we launched that a few weeks ago, Extra Life Weekend. And it's been going really well. You can follow at That Nerdy Site if you want to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/thatnerdysite. All that fun stuff. We have an anime show that's going to be coming out in a couple months that Christian's going to be leading because that's certainly a passion of his.
Sure.
Pixel Brave, if you don't know, has done the community videos for many, many years.
I take it for granted. I assume everybody knows everybody. Obviously, Pixel Brave is the one who goes and does all the filming at all the events for all the communities.
Yeah.
Finally started getting paid gigs with Pop Agenda. He
Indeed.
came out and did the Mizzou video with us back last year.
Yeah. So he's got that anime show. That was our first kind of milestone stretch goal that we had. Our 3 base podcasts are That Nerdy Site show, which is kind of our version of the Kind of Funny podcast, where
God have mercy on your souls.
we get together.
Have you talked about
week.
Batman masturbating yet?
Not yet. No. I'm sure it'll be somewhere in the near future.
Sure, it'll come.
When we get the Snyder Cut, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's happening, boys.
We have That Ultimate Video Game List show, which is a show I kind of created where each season I'm going to bring together a panel of people, and we're going to come up with the ultimate video game list.
Sure.
Top 20 list where the main rules are only 1 game per franchise and only 1 game per console.
Oh.
So if you have like Super Mario 64 in there, you're not going to get any other N64 games. But you can, there are loopholes. You could throw Ocarina of Time on for the 3DS or something like that if you want to do it.
Okay, I see
So that's really fun. We're doing that with me, Logan, Cam, and Frank right now. We're about halfway through the selection phase of season 1. And then That Wannabe film class that I mentioned earlier is Ben Bellevue, Chloe, and Logan. And each week they kind of pick a movie based off of a monthly theme where they talk about films that they love. So far they've done Mamma Mia and I, Robot, and up next is National Treasure, and the theme for this month is films of the 2000s. So,
okay. Awesome.
So they're having a great time with that as well.
Well, I'm glad you're back creating content, Trevor.
It's fun. It's been good to be back.
All right, everybody should go to thatnerdy site.
That Nerdy Site.
Keep up with it there. But enough about that. Today we're talking about Stadia stumbling out of the gate, the PlayStation 5 controller's been revealed, and Animal Crossing is introducing a subscription model because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show, patreon.com/kindafunnygames with your questions, comments, concerns, and everything under the video game sun. Then tune in to watch us record it live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. If you're watching live, you have a special job. Go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe. Housekeeping for you. We're going to London, everybody.
London, baby.
London calling, baby. Hurry, governor. See, I get there in the end. Even if I start somewhere else, I'll get there. Of course, Kinda Funny World Tour is making its final 2019 stop, rolling into London this weekend. Me, Tim, Nick, all the Kinda Honeys. However, if you're like, hey, wait, this is the first time I heard about it. Oh my God, how do I get tickets? It's too late. You fucked up. It was a long time ago. We did it. It was part of the Patreon thing. Thank you for supporting us in January. You can't come to the real meet and greet because the real meet and greet done. Unlock. Over. However, Mark Freeman and MC Fixer are leading the charge for community events over there in jolly old London. You can follow them on Twitter at TheIndieBoy1 or at MC Fixer. They wrote in for this squad up, but I have a different squad up, so I put it up here in the housekeeping. Today, MC Fixer and I, this is Mark Freeman writing, have announced a full list of community events for the London meet and greet. We have stuff from Thursday to Monday, including mini golf, bowling, Nando's, and lots more. For full details, check out our Twitters at TheIndieBoy1 and at MC Fixer. Or we also have posted to Reddit and the UK Facebook group. All these events do not require a ticket or booking, so come hang out with the best friends. It is truly an amazing experience. You won't regret it. Hashtag KFTourUK. So I guess now they've made their own hashtag. Barrett, I think we have to use that hashtag. Okay? Because before we were using Kinda Funny World Tour, but they've already co-opted one. And then how many hashtags can we have, you know?
There's never too many.
Never too many. That's my man over there. That's bad. Barry, I want you to warm up. Give me that smile again. Show me that smile again. That's my B-Force over there.
I'm so tired.
I miss that smile.
What did you do all weekend? Why are you so tired? How many Zeldas did you play?
None. Played a lot of Pokemon, though.
Oh, yeah, you did. Number 2 on housekeeping. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Blackjack, Zach Parsley, and Mohammed. Today, we're brought to you by Third Love, Upstart, and Quip, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news! 4 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
We're going to start with the big one of the day, ladies and gentlemen, at 9 a.m. today. The Stadia, Google Stadia review embargo lifted. I have it here on my desk. I have things to say, but instead I'll turn it over to a plethora of reviews that are all not glowing. Oh, dear Lord. We're going to start with Patrick Klepek over at Vice. Of course, all these gentlemen wrote a whole bunch of different reviews, all much longer than what I'm reading you here. You should go check all these people out. I think Klepek's, though, mirrors a lot of what I've seen and thought. On that very specific question, Patrick writes, referring to play it, it'd be cool to play it anywhere. Stadia mostly delivers. It feels goddamn magical when you're playing a gorgeous version of Mortal Kombat 11 at the local Starbucks on your phone, and can immediately pick up where you left off in the story a few minutes later at home, as if nothing happened. The whole reason I want everything ported to Switch is for this kind of radical convenience. And while it's cool, games like The Witcher 3 have found some deeply compromised ways to show up on Switch, I'd much rather play those games with real frame rates. But there is a reason it's felt like Google has deliberately avoided a splashy launch for a service that otherwise seems positioned as a huge part of the company's future. This is an early access debut for Stadia. For most people, the answer as to whether you should buy this is a resounding no. The technology is there, but the service is not even close. Stadia is launching in, essentially, shambles. I skip a whole bunch to get to this part. Right now, for example, it's only possible to stream to Google's Pixel phone. You can't buy games through the TV interface. There's no family sharing, so if your kid wants their own Stadia account, they can't play your copy of Just Dance 2020. Have fun spending twice the money. There is only one exclusive game, a spooky adventure called Guilt, a game called Guilt. Parentheses, it's only okay. There's an achievement system, but you can't see it yet. The Stadia controller is technically wireless, but outside of a TV with Chromecast Ultra, it has to be plugged in, which becomes an unwieldy experience on a phone unless you have a really long cable. The list goes on, but you get the idea. Jumping over to Mike Williams at US Gamer. Google Stadia is simply not ready for launch. There's a kernel of a good idea here, a good concept for a service, but what Google is launching with simply isn't up to snuff. It's messy, it's missing features, and the Stadia experience across platforms simply isn't uniform enough to justify a full release. Again, jumping a whole bunch here for Mike's article. Stadia's streaming gameplay needs to be impeccable, and it's not at the moment. And maybe it looks better when compared to a $300 to $400 for Switch, Xbox One X, or PlayStation 4 Pro, but those systems have cheaper options that just play the games. Project xCloud might not be making as many promises as Stadia, but it's an add-on to an existing console with a much larger library. But promising streaming 4K games with no issues and delivering what's here is not the way to build a platform. Despite all the claims, Stadia isn't gaming for everyone yet. Peter Brown at GameSpot. I've experienced less than half of Stadia's launch library at this time. There are more games coming very soon, but most are titles that are readily available on other platforms. So far, Google's tech has impressed me to the point where I would comfortably play most in a browser tab or on a phone without batting an eye. But then I consider that I will have to buy the vast majority of these games, and I'm left in awe of the value of Microsoft and Sony are offering. Even if their overall services lack Stadia's flexibility, for the moment, cloud gaming still feels like a decent alternative to the real thing, but I don't think I'm ready to dedicate a full-price game purchase to a secondary platform. I will continue to prioritize my consoles and PC for the foreseeable future, but I will also continue testing Stadia in the days to come, and come back soon with my final thoughts on Stadia's 2019 debut. And then Kevin Lee at IGN writes, is Google Stadia good? That's the question on everybody's mind with the game streaming service launching today, and after a week of testing it out, I can say yes it is. But, and there are several big buts about it, with at least 15 of Stadia's promised features still on their way, it's probably worth waiting a while before jumping onto Google's game streaming service. Oof!
That is not a good showing for Stadia at the gate.
Not at all, and I echo everything they've said. You know, I've been a big proponent and still am of streaming gaming, and I'm super excited for it, and I know I've talked at length about this on this show and a million other ones, but if you're just coming in for the headline, I want a streaming game service. I want to be able to take my games on the road. Remote play is almost there, but it's so many different things of the hotel's connection, my house's connection, and what's the delay there. The idea of having this, and xCloud for that matter, and be able to go right to it is awesome. In practice, it's not the tech that's not there as much. Like, everybody's talking about it here, right? For the most part, the tech works pretty well. What I've played there, playing Destiny last night in my house with my Wi-Fi internet, right? I noticed it wasn't as, nanosecond precise, but it was fine. Mm-hmm. I could play that version of Destiny and have a good time. In the front office here, where the internet's good, I was good. In the back office, me and Andy are like, oh my God, it barely runs. When I hooked up the Chromecast and plugged in the Ethernet and was playing on the TV, like Destiny, I felt like it was even closer to being perfect Destiny, but then it was the visual stuff as it got expanded to my TV of running and seeing like leaves pop in a second too early. So it was like where they shouldn't be as I was running through things. Okay. Artifacting where I'd be running and then all of a sudden, it would go wall blocking and things like that. I keep going back, and especially with this now here as proof or whatever, what we've been saying since they started ripping out the things they said they were going to have and revealing this launch lineup. If this said early access, it'd be a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah, I think Patrick nails that right on the head. That was what I kind of wrote, is early access is very much what this feels like.
Yeah.
I knew we were going to be talking about it with kind of item 2 on the Roper Report as well, before all of the kind of reviews dropped. And yeah, I have a Founders Pack coming to my house sometime this week, hopefully while I'm
knock on wood.
here.
Check to see if you got it. Yeah.
I've not gotten any codes or anything.
I was
going
to say, I see every time I look at the Stadia subreddit, somebody else having their credit card got charged and they're getting it, or there's a delay notification.
Yeah, but I'll be checking it out and kind of providing my own kind of coverage through that nerdy site, thatnerdysite.com.
So here's my question for you then.
Yeah.
If I can cut you off.
Yeah.
You have your pre-order coming. Would you keep your pre-order knowing all this, or is it for you like, well, we're that nerdy site, we want to be able to talk about everything?
If I wasn't trying to cover this for content, I probably would have done what I saw a lot of people doing in the last week or two of canceling their pre-orders.
Yeah.
I'm very much in the same boat as you. I want there to be a successful streaming future, even if I often look at everybody saying we want to put everything on the Switch. We want everything on the Switch because it's portable and it's there and ready for us to go. I think the people that want that, I hear it most often from kind of reviewers and critics and enthusiasts like yourself.
That's me.
Because you guys are traveling to and from events all the time.
Yeah.
I do like because I enjoy going to PAXs and
Sure.
stuff. But if I wasn't doing that, I would be playing pretty much everything from my house. So it's not necessarily something for me, and I think it's not really something that's for a lot of people out there in the audience. The biggest selling point that I see from something like Stadia or kind of the streaming future is I'm too intimidated to go in and build my own PC or spend $1,000 on a good gaming PC. So this is an easier, more accessible route for me to do that. Just get the thing, get the Chromecast, and load it up on my TV or something. So I'm interested in that regard, but with kind of everything they've been ripping out of it and all the kind of, hey, wait for it.
Yeah.
I probably would have easily been like, okay, well, I've got my consoles for the games that I really want to play. I would probably have sat back and said, yeah, I'm going to hold off on this.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing with it, right, is, again, being excited for the tech, but talking about it on the shows where I've said that, for me, Stadia is a purchase of, cool, I'm going to see what it's like at launch and then put it in a drawer and not touch it. I was saying until 2020, but now with Darksiders Genesis being PC Stadia in December, I'll play Darksiders on it. But to everybody's comments here in their reviews, right, like, this isn't something you need to rush out for. If you're not worried about your name as Game Over Greggy getting taken or something to that effect, I don't understand. Like, there isn't a gun to your head to go get this.
Yeah.
In fact, I think even what's fascinating about it and why, when you look at this, like, why did Stadia do this? Why did they rush it out? Why did they do this with all this stuff? Because, like, keep in mind, like, right now, if you're a visual viewer, if you're watching on YouTube, right, and Twitch, I'm holding up the Google Pixel in the stand connected to the Stadia controller, right? You can't play the game this way. I don't have the USB-C to USB-C connector. Right now, the Stadia controller only works wirelessly with the Chromecast. So this is best case scenario visual right here of what you'd want this to look like and what you'd want it to be. So it's like, that alone, I think right there is the most damning, like, oh, right. Even that's not up to, and that's time and time and time again with this fucking device over the weekend, where it's like, cool, I'm in there, and it's like, oh, they finally, as everybody puts in their reviews, right? Like, they sent us a Red Dead code for review super late. We got a couple of different games of their 11 at launch, and then Red Dead came in over the weekend sometime. And when it did, it was like, awesome. I open up the Stadia app on my iPhone, which I can't play at all with. You know, there's no iOS support yet, which, again, whatever, it's coming. I understand this. I open it up, I click on my name, and I'm like, fuck, I thought this is where I could redeem the codes. Fuck, I can't. Oh, it must be because I open up the Pixel on the version of it, can't do it. I'm like, wait, can I only use the PC? Open up the Chromecast version. You have to go to the fucking PC to redeem a code right now. Like, it's like that. It's like, even when you're in Stadia, using Stadia on the Chromecast or on the phone or whatever, it still doesn't have the functionality that the .com has. And it's like, what the fuck?
It's almost like they haven't been paying attention to all of the Epic Game Store stuff for the last 6 months that everybody's been mad about. And it's missing all of those features that everybody's wanting for anything out the gate these days. You can't launch a product with as few features as this without everybody saying, well, why would I jump to that? I already have this other thing that does all of this that I'm looking for.
And it really puts them into this interesting situation of, I think the idea was, we need to beat Xbox out. We need to be out there before xCloud is a reality, right? Because, again, like, imagine if at XO19, Phil Spencer and all of them had been like, cool, xCloud is coming out of beta today, or we're expanding the beta to everyone, and it includes all your Xbox games and Game Pass. DOA. Why would I ever get this, right? Yep. And so the idea is get this out sooner, try to get to streaming first before everybody else, and then hopefully build an audience and a fan base and a store and an account and an ecosystem before we get to xCloud being like, oh no, xCloud's in beta, but you can still access everything on your Xbox. And that was the idea, and you think if you nail that, you're going to be great. When you fuck it up and all the reviews look like this, like, they've salted the earth for so many people, which sucks. And it's what I was talking about last week, I think, with Geo, of my concern then becomes, for everybody who wants to hate streaming, did this salt the earth for Project xCloud to an extent too? Now, the answer there is, it really doesn't matter for xCloud. You're talking about how this is ancillary content, right? Where it's, yeah, that's awesome for me, and maybe, honestly, probably will make me think really twice about when I have xCloud working and I can access any one of my games, like, shit, do I want to play my games on PlayStation? Do I really care that much? Am I ever going to platinum Game X? If not, why wouldn't I play it on Xbox and have it everywhere?
Yeah.
That's a much sexier promise than what we have right here and right now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I was just looking up Jack Buser because I just didn't recall his name, but he came on We Have Cool Friends with You guys a few weeks back. very much talking about Google Stadia, and one of the things that he said a lot in that episode that stuck with me was when it's going to launch, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
Was kind of his kind of and right now it's not great proof.
And this is the issue. I was trying to think about it. Like, I didn't want to tweet because I knew we were gonna do the show, and I knew there'd be well more thought out reviews. And that's the thing too, is like, again, Stadia's problem, right, is that the launch lineup is garbage.
Yeah.
And that there's great games in there, but I've played those games.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, this weekend I have free time. I'd rather try to platinum Jedi and put in work there, right? So when it's like, all right, cool, I need to test Stadia, it's like, all right, I'll run around Destiny. I ran around Destiny. When I turned on Destiny last week when we got the unit, I had to go to Andy. I'm like, I don't remember how to do anything. Where do I go? And he's like, okay, cool. I ran around and shot stuff for 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It feels nothing, but I'm not even, like, it would be different if Borderlands was on this. I'd be able to tell you how that feels because I play so much Borderlands. Right. I can't. Let's jump out, and I tried the Guilt game. And I'm like, Guilt runs really well. It's, again, it's an adventure game. It was running really great until this one time when I rounded a corner crouch from the enemy, and I was like, all right, stop walking. Stop walking. Why are you walking? Why are you walking? And it was the characters, and I'm like pounding all the buttons, couldn't stop it. I hit the Stadia button, that popped up. I had controls there. Something in the game worked. And again, this is a very isolated incident.
Right,
I'm not talking shit about it. But on top of that, like, Guilt just didn't look good on the big screen. I think Patrick's review talks about it, that it's crazy how good things look on the Pixel, on the phone, and then when you get them on the TV, that's when it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this doesn't look exactly like my PlayStation. This doesn't look exactly like this. I think for Guilt in particular, playing it on Wi-Fi on the Chromecast on the TV, I was like, I think my Switch games look better than this.
Yeah, I had a lot of that kind of experience with back in the Wii U with the gamepad versus on TV, and then again with the Switch. I have barely ever played anything on my Switch docked, and so everything looks great when I'm playing it in the handheld mode. But I remember specifically with Breath of the Wild that with all of my other issues with that game, which we might get into in one of the questions or something, I remember thinking, ooh, this looks much better when it's on a small screen on my Switch,
right,
as opposed to putting it up on my 60-inch TV.
Yeah, and again, like, that's where we get back. I want to bring in a question here. Aman writes in to patreon.com/kindafunnygames and says, hey, KF team. I want to get your opinions on the various streaming services for video games. Google getting into the game was a big deal, but as Stadia gets near to launch and the recent news from Xbox with regards to xCloud makes me think that Google doesn't stand a chance. Maybe if they are able to lock down a few third-party exclusives, but at the moment, Xbox is doing everything right to sell their service. What can Google do to make Stadia more appealing? Should Sony be making... keep Sony out of this conversation, I think. They don't have anything to do with this right here. To your point, to what you just said and what I just said about it looking better on a phone, again... That's why I think xCloud, not in beta form as it is right now, xCloud in 2020 when it is, play your games. Play Game Pass games. Really have the Xbox ecosystem in the cloud. That's the one that's the game changer, and I think the killing blow to Stadia. Because Stadia is wounded right now. I wouldn't say mortally wounded. We've seen different things come back, but you think about the Wii U. You think about the original Xbox One, like... you think about PS3, bad launch, and I guess PS3 did overcome in the end, but bad launches are so hard to recover from.
Yeah, and most people don't realize that PS3 overtook it in the end because of the
narrative, right?
Yeah.
And I think the important thing to all three of those examples from our recent memory I've just brought up is those were not their first time out the gate.
Right.
They were not looked at in a way of like, oh, you're not here to stay. Google still has that. Are they really going to make it? Are they really going to do this? What does this all reverberate back to? And so, long story short, where I was driving with that is that, again, when xCloud is like, cool, Greg, you own all these games on Xbox and you want to play them over there and you can do it both. When I'm playing it on the screen, I'll only ever play it on my iPad, on my iPhone, on a smaller screen. Because if I'm in front of a giant TV, I'm going to use my Xbox and I'm going to have the best experience.
Yeah.
If the experience with Stadia is never great anywhere, why would I ever play the games there?
Yeah, I think that's very much kind of what we need to see from Stadia is how well the viability of it on kind of when they get the 4K streaming up and going, which is another one of those things they ripped out, pre-launch.
Yeah.
I think Google certainly has the resources if they are dedicated to put behind this, but there's also that list of all of the things that Google has walked away from.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it on Klepic's thing today. He put up a thing like, hey, we're going to the podcast, do this, if you got questions, do this. And somebody responded with, maybe it's this. Yeah, somebody responded with Jason Scott. This is a tweet from Jason Scott, who I don't know. Oh, wait, maybe I do. No, maybe I don't. Jason Scott, who says, to celebrate the official launch of Google Stadia tomorrow, I've created a single-purpose website, StadiaCountdown.com. It is a countdown timer set for the average lifespan of any Google service/product, which is 4 years. And so when you go to StadiaCountdown.com, it is just counting down in hours, minutes, and seconds to when Google shuts down.
And days.
Yeah, it's days too. Yeah. So I mean, it's like. It's ready, like, there's already this sense of, are they committed? Are they going to make this? Is this really going to happen? And to have this bad of a launch, I don't know. It's the same thing we talk about with Fallout 76, with Anthem, with anything. Like, I mean, what are the great relaunch stories, right? Like, No Man's Sky.
Final Fantasy 14.
And those are games. Those are $60 games, not platforms where you have to buy in and believe so much.
I would argue A Realm Reborn is a platform as an ongoing subscription service. But yeah, it's very rare that we see something bounce back that well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would never have thought the Switch would be doing as well as it was after the Wii U. So and maybe there will be a Stadia 2.0 or something down the line that kind of helps rebrand or restructure around so that some of this gets forgotten. It's all still way too early days to know where we're going with any of this. But I think because xCloud has the a similar size of backing with Microsoft behind it, but then also 15 plus years in doing this, and a catalog and library of games to back it up. That's one of the things, obviously, we saw, I think, this generation with the Xbox One, was they didn't have the games to support it, and so everybody went to PlayStation.
Yeah.
I think Xbox One at least has games that aren't only third-party stuff like we see on Stadia right now.
And, it's what we keep talking about in terms of Stadia. This is all it is. xCloud, right? There's a system, and there's a console, and there's a business, and there's so much else happening there that I don't feel like if millions and millions and millions of people don't use xCloud, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
If just a committed few do, and if honestly, I'm still the canary in the coal mine. If a PlayStation committed gamer sees this and has a very specific life use for it, and I come over and I start playing my third-party titles there, and obviously exclusive Xbox, that makes sense. But you know what I mean? I come over and I start using it. That's a huge get, and that's all they want, right? And that's all Xbox is trying to do with all of their programs is be like, we are the best place for gamers. Come over here and do it. Reading from Kevin Lee's article, he has a couple different great breakout boxes. Everything on Stadia coming after launch. So these are things that have been promised and aren't in there, right? Achievements. Google Stadia records achievements, players from launch, but there's no supporting UI or notification for achievements until shortly after launch. Number 2, Chromecast Ultra. Stadia only works with Chromecast Ultras that ship with the Stadia controllers at launch. Google plans to update existing Chromecast Ultras over the air soon after launch. I don't understand that one still to this day.
Yeah, that seems like that would be, if anything else, a day one patch that you would put out there for any Google Chromecast Ultra.
Number 3, Buddy Pass. Founders Editions owners of Stadia can gift a 3-month Stadia subscription to a friend, but only starting 2 weeks after you receive the bundle. Number 4, Stream Connect. Local co-op will be available by the end of 2019. Number 5, wireless Stadia controller support. The Stadia controller only works wirelessly with a compatible Chromecast Ultra. Otherwise, you need to have the controller directly wired to a smartphone or PC. Wireless functionality for the other screens will come early 2020. Number 6, 4K web browsing streaming. 4K web browser streaming. 4K streaming is available on TVs, but it'll come to the Chrome browser in early 2020. Number 7, mobile party and voice chat, available 2020. Number 8, state share. Not only will you be able to transfer save states between devices, but also share them. However, it won't be available until sometime in 2020. Number 9, crowd play, one of Stadia's biggest features that allows streamers to play Stadia games with other viewers, also due to arrive sometime in 2020. And then number 10, video capture. 1080p video capture up to 30 seconds will be available at a later date. So again, pretty much everything they showed that would set them apart isn't here.
Yeah.
And what a way to just come out and get fucking punched. It's gonna be so hard to climb out of this hole. You talked about Jack being on We Have Cool Friends, right? I've known Jack for years. Mm-hmm. Jack made me believe in PlayStation Home and what they were going for, right? It
was a fascinating conversation.
When you come on here, and I asked him, right, are they committed? Are they doing? He's like, I wouldn't have left PlayStation to come here if they weren't committed to it. So it's awesome. I believe in those people. But then I just wonder where in the leadership structure it got to. Who's pulling the strings to be like, it's not early access. Put it out. This is the thing. This is how we're doing it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. For right now, as somebody pointed out, our nanobiologist did, of course, and you're wrong that on the IGN Stadia review, if we had to review it now, which they are not, but if they did, they'd give it a 6, right?
Yeah, it's an in-process review.
Yeah, in review. review in progress stands
Yeah.
for. We're both right around it.
yeah.
It's like paying the tail of a donkey. We're both getting really close to what we're trying to say. Whatever that final score ends up being, whatever Peter at GameSpot gives it, like that shit is etched on their tombstone.
Yeah.
And like, they can update that, and they can get away from it and do a bunch of different stuff. But the problem is that they will do this with everything we just talked about in that drip feed, to where it'll never have the No Man's Sky Beyond moment.
Mm-hmm.
It'll never have that moment of like, this is the patch that made Google Stadia what it should have always been.
Yeah, and I think so much of it does come down to one of the other analogs that I'm thinking about as we talk is how the messaging has gone up to this point. You always talk PSVR was very much, hey, we're launching a brand new thing. It's going to be like Gen 1 PlayStation. That's how we're going in with this. Whereas Stadia came out and said, it's going to be everything. And then they were like, oh, actually, we're not going to hit that time frame, so we got to start pulling some of this
Which
stuff
is why
back.
Microsoft did that like veiled dunk on them right at XO19 of like, we're not saying we're replacing your console. We're not like, they're being, even xCloud, right? Where I got my xCloud, and Andy says I can talk about it, I'm not sure, and I didn't read my NDA. But I got in the beta, right? And like I turned it on, but it was like right after I got this. And again, my xCloud thing, like, I mean, the first thing I did was try to load up State of Decay, and it kind of crashed. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to focus on this because I got to worry about having more formed opinions on this. But like, xCloud's a beta.
Yeah.
Who the hell cares?
Yeah.
I expect it to crash. I expect it not to work.
They're one of the things I put in here for the required reading is an article that gamesindustry.biz did talking about the preview program and all the stuff they're exploring in the xCloud Project xCloud preview program, and the fact that it is a beta and properly in a preview program means people are looking at it differently. In the same way that for the last 2 years we've looked at Fortnite differently or PUBG.
Not anymore. Jig's up. That game's done.
Still early access. Technically. Chapter 2 early access.
I'm going to bring it in here because you brought it up. All right, you're talking about your required reading from gamesindustry.biz. Xbox, quote, people are using xCloud to create couch co-op. This is Christopher Dring doing an interview with the general manager of Project xCloud, Catherine Gluckstein. Nailed it. You want to read it?
Yeah, so I pulled a couple kind of the big talking points I thought I saw kind of floating around on Twitter today. One of hers is talking about, we're taking preview to Canada, to Western Europe, to Japan, and to India. Right now it's currently in the US, UK, and South Korea. So that's kind of where they're launching to. With India today, there are more people who play games in India than the population of the US, about 300 million. It's a huge gaming market, but but not one we've played in before. It's a really interesting place for us to go and learn. So, like right there, the thing I brought to you earlier was that I think we often forget about the size and scope of like the India or the Chinese markets.
Sure.
With both of those countries having 1 billion plus people, they have a significantly larger potential gamer base than we do. So with all this stuff going on with Blizzard in the last few weeks or last couple months, it's bad in Free Hong Kong and all that, but I very much understand the business rationale of there's a huge market out there that even if we lost every single U.S. player, like that could easily be replaced by some of those emerging markets.
Not to mention, I think when we're talking about this kind of emerging tech, right? If you're talking about about 300 million, right? Like if you can get a 1% of that out there playing this, you're stress testing it in a way that it isn't getting stress tested in the West.
Yeah. Then kind of the talking point that they pull in kind of there for the title of the article, Sea of Thieves doesn't support couch co-op. People in the program are using Project xCloud to create couch co-op experiences. When I play at home, one of my kids is playing on, this is Catherine, one of my kids is playing on Xbox One, another is on my Surface Book 2, and I'm sat right next to them on Project xCloud. We're all in the same room playing together. A good percentage of the love notes we've received have been about someone else in the household monopolizing a TV, yet now they can still play together. And obviously, we can't all have the like side-by-side gaming stream setups that I know you and Jen have. I know Andrea and I mean, John have.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, right? Where it is that idea of like, some of my most recent favorite memories, right, were Monster Hunter and Division, right? Where it'd be like when Kevin came over and we did a sleepover, and then Scott Lowe and Xavier Woods came over during GDC to play the Division, and it was like the old school days of dragging all these screens into the room. But like, if you're doing it on your phone, if you're all doing it on your tablets, that's awesome. Yeah.
And then kind of one of the last takeaways that I had from this article that I wanted to touch on is I think this very much helps set the stage for Xbox to kind of further change the conversation next generation. Like I think we saw this generation where they've moved away from reporting, unit sales, obviously, for a number of reasons. But I think this kind of mentality that they're exploring with Project xCloud helps further change the conversation from how many units have we sold to how many subscribers, how many users do we have. And if PlayStation goes out there and says we have sold 100 PS5s, and Xbox comes out and says, great, but we've got 150 million subscribers in xCloud in some of these emerging markets, that's going to significantly, I think, change the game for the next generation.
Yeah, this next generation is going to be super fascinating. And I know we say that every generation, but it's because it always is. But especially where we are now, think about where we were at the end of the PS3 360 life cycle, getting ready for PS4, Xbox One, and it was, all right, maybe there'll be one more console generation, right? Yeah. And we weren't talking about streaming, when PlayStation bought Gaikai, we knew something was going to happen, but we weren't sure what. And I don't think we were thinking we'd be here. And it's always this thing of, the biggest problem, Klepek brings it up in his, is bandwidth and how much, Stadia streaming is eating up into bandwidth and data caps and all that stuff. And you are seeing already the technological advancements of, all right, we can, for the most part, do this, where you're streaming a game and it feels good and all that stuff. But now there's limitations of where the world's at with the internet and how does that move on and where do we go? Mm-hmm. Can't wait to see what happens in 5 years.
Yeah.
If we're all alive.
Very exciting.
Number 2, after all that bad news for Google Stadia, I got some good one. They're adding more games. Stadia's day one launch lineup has increased to 22 titles, spanning a broad variety of game genres. The Stadia launch lineup of hit games delivers incredible quality for players to enjoy. Stadia's day one titles include Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which we already knew. New, though, Attack on Titan, Final Battle 2. Destiny 2, the collection, which we already knew, available in the Stadia Pro. Farming Simulator 2019 is a new game. Final Fantasy 15, a new game. Football Manager 2020, a new game. Grid 2019, a new game, and has that 40-player multiplayer thing. Guilt, Just Dance 2020, Kine. Metro Exodus, a new game. Mortal Kombat 11. NBA 2K20, a new game. Rage 2, a new game. Then Rise of the Tomb Raider. Red Dead Redemption 2. Samurai Showdown, which is also available in Stadia Pro. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Thumper. Tomb Raider 2013. New game Trials Rising. And new game Wolfenstein Youngblood. The Stadia press release goes on to say, additional games expected to be playable on Stadia by the end of the year include Borderlands 3, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, and Darksiders Genesis. Of course, there are many more titles that have been announced as coming to Stadia in 2020, including Doom Eternal, Watch Dogs Legion, God and Monsters, and Cyberpunk 2077. A weird last-minute thing that I saw a Keeley break on Twitter, and I had to go to my email. I'm like, oh, there it is. But also interesting that I saw everybody sharing Keeley's tweet. I was like, did fucking Stadia tweet this? Did only Jeff Keeley was the only one smart enough to be like, I should put this out there? And Stadia PR was like, oh, fuck, we should have said something.
Yeah. And all those new games were already in the bucket of that kind of end there is of these were going to come out this year
they were coming.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I think and I think a lot of this came out from the backlash of, hey, you guys are only launching with 12 games.
Yeah.
So it further kind of supports that idea of this being an early access. If they had all these games ready enough to go that they would announce an initial slate and then a few days later announce 10 more games are going to be part of that initial slate.
But man, at the 11th hour, right?
Yeah.
To break it over the weekend, what a weird move.
Yeah, and that's why it feels very reactionary. It feels like, okay,
totally.
Well, we've got all these, we were holding them back, but if you really want more stuff, we can flip the switch on these. They're all ready to go.
Yeah.
And here you are. Here you've got 10 more games. We've almost doubled our lineup.
Yeah, but still, what, none of them are awesome. Or, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I understand the argument that it could be new to you, and that's great.
Yeah.
I just doubt it.
Tomb Raider 2013, a great game, but I played it in 2013.
Right, and that's my thing is we talk about, it's just such a weird thing of, if it's a launch, then you need the system selling launch exclusives, right? But if it's not a launch and it's early access, then this is fun. It's just such a weird back and forth of what the fuck is this? I've seen the question going around is, who is this for?
Yeah, I think I saw Mike Futter have a whole tweet thread.
And I think it was Mike from US Gamer had it in his review too. It's that question. For me, it's not even who is this for as much as what is this launch? What if I'm at Google Stadia? If I'm working next to Jared Petty, what do we think we're doing? Do we think we're launching a product? Do we think we're launching a beta? Do we think what are the metrics for success? Where are you expecting this to come out? Because none of these people there are stupid, right?
Yeah.
They pulled all these industry vets. So at what point did they look at this and go, oh fuck, this isn't a good launch? Maybe we're not launching. I was excited for the platform to launch. The game's on it so much, I'm like, I don't care about any of these, right? Mm-hmm. So it's okay, none of the shit's there. Cool, I got my name, I got my controller, it'll sit in a drawer till Darksiders Genesis in a couple weeks. Hopefully, knock on wood, that'll happen still.
Yeah.
Is that fine? Is that what do you do with all the bad press you're getting?
I mean, for me, the games I am going to probably pick up and play on this to kind of test it out are Rage 2 and Wolfenstein Youngblood. couple games that I missed from earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And am interested in, but was not interested enough to get them day one, kind of day and date. So I'm looking forward to like exploring some of these. Red Dead Redemption 2 being on there and not Grand Theft Auto 5 seems like a very big misstep, because it seems like with the juggernaut that game is, that Grand Theft Auto 5, like, yeah, put it on Stadia. One more thing, people can buy it and they can, continue to sell and top the NPD charts every month. And then you can take it anywhere with you and play it on your phone and all that stuff. So I'm very much in the same kind of boat of I don't like really recognize who this is for, but then I also think of like people like co-workers that I had that, hey, on their lunch break they would hop in and play like a game of Magic the Gathering or something on their PC, and so maybe that's something they'll use this for.
And again, that's where it gets exciting, the streaming stuff for me, of having that ability, and that's what I want, right? Where it is like we're talking about my platinum for Jedi Fallen Order, working on it, and so if it is like I got 20 minutes before a podcast. If it was, pop in, do the thing, get there, great, awesome. Not like how it is now with remote play of like see it trying to connect, searching for your PlayStation 4, some weird problem. Oh, I had a question I wanted to pull into it, right? I'm jumping into reader mail, of course. Dan Rolls 2020 wrote in to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and says, "What's up, KFGD crew? With Borderlands 3 releasing on Stadia later this year and not as a day one title, do you think that has anything to do with Gearbox working on cross-save functionality and couldn't have it ready to go for launch day? It just seems a little odd that Stadia wouldn't launch with a big game like Borderlands 3, but still have it come out by the end of 2019. I've held off on buying Borderlands for PS4 because I wanted that to be my first Stadia purchase. I wish they would confirm that cross-save is coming so I could start the game on PS4 and switch it over to Stadia when it comes out. Thanks and have a great rest of the day. Dan Rolls, 22.
I mean, it sounds like something that would be perfect for you guys to discuss on the Borderlands show.
Borderlands show, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no. I mean, they've been frank, you know what I mean? I know that, of course, we host the Borderlands show, so clearly we work with them all the time, so you could take anything I say with a grain of fucking salt. I think that, Gearbox, everybody who's come on the show has been frank with answers. Like, they don't dodge questions. They're never like, oh, blah, blah. It's very much like, that's a great idea, we're working on it, we're doing this thing. Like, they've said pretty openly that that's something they want. They want cross-save, they want it. I don't think it is. I don't think you're waiting for Stadia's launch, because I just don't. Borderlands and 2K, with all due respect to Stadia, don't give a shit about Stadia.
Yeah.
They want it to be cross-save between Xbox, PlayStation, PC. Stadia, sure, but that's not why they would hold the date here. I think it just comes down to making the game work right.
Yeah, I think I would very much view cross-save having just been like, hey, it's on our list of things we want to do, but it's not going to be a high priority, because we have numbers, or we can get numbers that say this is how many people use cross-save functionality when it's out there. And to get the game out and try and get it in the time frame that they wanted to get it in, I think that's something you can very easily kind of push down the line. And hey, then if you want to, because like even there, like what kind of audience are you catering to for cross-save? Like, oh, you want the people who can play on PS4 and Xbox One or on PC. You don't have that many people that are buying multiple copies of the game just so they can like bounce around.
Exactly, that's the other thing too.
So I think it's much more of a, hey, there just aren't the numbers to support why we want to put that many resources into it to get it in time for launch.
And you talk about resources again. I'm stupid and I do not make video games. But my thought process on all of this, and I don't know when if you're Gearbox, you see, holy shit, wait a second, people are starting to do cross progression, or cross save, not even cross progression, like Destiny, right?
Yeah.
That's all awesome and that's all great. However, Bungie.net was already so good at gathering all your information from your character, whatever platform you're on. I use Gearbox's thing for the shift codes.
Exactly, yeah.
But I don't know if that already has an infrastructure built in that's tracking my saves and doing my thing and paying attention to my FLAC. So it's like, even if it was, Sony called them up, or the president of games called them up and was like, cross save is enabled, enjoy your life. Cool, you need to come up with your own infrastructure to make that happen.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine that's the biggest hurdle to doing this, is like, shit.
Yeah.
Go in there and retrofit this thing to look at that to do the thing.
And I certainly think that because they've been doing that shift code thing for years, and you have a 2K account or a Gearbox account to get that, like, they're already leaps and bounds ahead of other people that would maybe try and implement cross-save but don't have that separate login where, like, hey, this is a unique to you. Because, you log into Shift and you can link it to your PC, your Steam account, or your Xbox, your PS account. So it, from that kind of architectural, like there's some kind of linkage there where you could say, okay, this is who you're playing on each of these platforms. But yeah, it's I'm sure a much bigger haul than either of us would be able to fathom.
We're two morons. We definitely couldn't do that, all right? Two things from You're Wrong. Choco writes in and says, John Justice was on a Stadia cast interview, and he mentioned that more games may be announced before launch because they were awaiting final certification. So you had to go through that.
Okay.
And then Nanobiologist also calls out that the email you and I both got, right? Since we're pre-orders here. Read this before playing games on Stadia. This got sent out to everybody, right? Basically with a lot of the stuff you'd expect, right? Use your Ultra with an Ethernet cable. It's going to be a big difference. If you're playing over Wi-Fi and your Wi-Fi supports both 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, use the 5 gigahertz. Make sure everything's on the same network. And then there was one that everybody's like flipping out about, but I don't think is that much of a surprise, right? For best performance, don't stream movies or music to other devices in other parts of the house while playing games on Stadia. It can slow things down.
Yeah, that was the one I pulled when I got the email to you and said like, oh, that's because it's also in the email. That's the one they finish on.
Yeah,
so it's like, oh, okay, that's
the bad news for last. But I mean, also
makes sense. But also, I really like Disney Plus, guys. I pretty much have been playing Death Stranding and Jedi Fallen Order with Disney Plus on my laptop.
What have you been watching?
I've been watching through Rebels, Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, yeah.
I think, yeah. Because I didn't have Disney XD or whatever, so it's one that I've always wanted to get into. I'm like 3 seasons through that, obviously Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I also am really enjoying, I think it's called The Imagineering Story.
Yes, The Imagineers. Yeah, the documentary. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm loving that one as a much more, I think, fervent Disneyland fan than yourself. Like that's definitely one I would definitely put in front of Tim as well.
Oh yeah,
I think he would.
Tim knows everything about Disney Plus. Don't worry about that. Yeah, my for this London trip, obviously I'm loading up the Switch with games and whatever. Going to do some Pokemon. Going to finally start Link's Awakening. I also want to get Obra Dinn on there. But on top of that, I'm going to go. Somebody put up the nice thing on the subreddit of like, here, if you just want to watch
here's the
some
Clone Wars order.
Here's what to watch.
Yeah.
If you don't want to watch it all, I'm going to download those episodes too. I got you, baby bear. Before it's happening.
It's all the important ones and then the Watto episode, right?
And then Lord of Pwn has a You're Wrong. The shift system was used to transfer your PS3 saves to PS4 and Vita in Borderlands 2.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
And they did, I think they did that with the Xbox 360 to Xbox One too. I remember doing that with the Handsome Collection.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a precedent for it. They must have some kind of back end for it. However, making it communicate with everything else, who knows?
Yeah.
Number 3 on the Roper Report. Yeah, that's right. Number 3, 47 minutes in. Did we just get the PlayStation 5 controller? There's a new PlayStation controller being patented. This is Andy Robinson over at VideoGamesChronicle.com. Barrett, I put Kevin in there because I thought he'd be doing it, but I have a hyperlink at the top of this if you could put it in there to show the kids the patent. Sony Interactive Entertainment patent has revealed images of what could be the PlayStation 5's controller. The images, which were published on the Japanese Patent Office website today, are attributed to the PlayStation manufacturer and match a description of the PS5's prototype pad in a Wired article, in which Sony's next-gen controller is described to look an awful lot like the PS4's DualShock 4. The patent specifically highlights a microphone, but comparison images posted online show that there are many subtle design changes between the pictured controller and the DualShock 4. The controller pictured in the patent features larger triggers, slightly smaller sticks, a USB port, and no light bar. So we can see it here. You can see it all popped up there. DualShock 4 next to it on the back over there. Nothing too shocking. You know what I mean? Continuing to iterate. No light bar I thought was interesting, right?
Yeah, it feels like, I mean, it's such a critical component of the PSVR,
exactly.
And they've said that DualShock or the DualShock 5 and PS5 are going to be still.
And so that's my
PSVR
interesting thing.
compatible.
Before we go any further, I do want to point out, of course, take patents with a grain of salt. I've done podcasts beyond long enough to remember the Move controller that's split into 2 things and never ever came to be. But yeah, the light bar is an interesting one. I guess my argument for eliminating it here would be, sure, PlayStation VR going forward works with the PlayStation 5. So we're banking on you already having it and then not selling back your DualShock 4 light bar controller because you'd already want to come into that ecosystem. And then when we launch a PlayStation VR 2 for PlayStation 5, either we're doing away with those kind of games, like Astrobot or whatever, or we're just going to use gyros on it, or we're going to package it with a special controller. I don't know. There's ways around it, but all of them are clunky.
Yeah, I mean, they could definitely have tech in there that behaves like a light bar without being a light up thing.
Yeah.
That is certainly an advancement that they could have made in the last few years. But I'm also looking at I guess that the right-hand side is the DualShock 4.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's because I was looking at that. I was like, wow,
that looks exactly the same.
It looks like the light bar.
I'm really surprised that they still have this the pad or whatever.
Yeah, the touchpad. I was hoping that would go away.
Yeah, because it's like it's one of those things where it was like a cool idea, and I think it was presented like when they first announced it, it was like, oh, this is interesting, and then it turned into your new map button.
The light bar and the touchpad are the traditional PlayStation things of we're going to put something in this, and guess what? No one will ever use it the way we thought you're going to use it.
Yeah.
People just want to fucking play video games.
But also at this point, like the touchpad is in most games like a second options button, or it's like, hey, the touchpad takes you to the map and the options takes you to the options.
Yep, totally. But I mean, yeah, and that's why we'd get. I guess you got to keep the share button, right? But even on Stadia, it's like, when I was playing, I was like, oh shit, this is now the touchpad, or you know what I mean? This little dot button is the touchpad. I got it. Cool. I digress. Whatever. We'll see what happens. Cool that Jedi Fallen Order, the light bar changes to my lightsaber color.
Yeah.
I'll take that. You know what I mean?
Borderlands 3, it changes to the color of your ammo type, your elemental type.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it did, didn't it?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it did in prior
Last of
Borderlands
Us,
games
it
too,
changed with your health, I believe.
Yeah, no,
they use it.
What was
it's like that's one of the things that I'm most like just a small thing. I wonder what the developers are thinking of somebody has to code that and figure out if this then this. If you're in this condition, your light bar is going to be this thing. Like somebody's doing that throughout that game.
It's cool.
Yeah,
a little touch.
Thief did it cool where it would be, I mean, bad game, but it was a cool thing of if you were visible, it'd be bright white, and then if you were hidden, it'd be dark. Also, it was cool that they put all these cool things into it, and then somebody had to be like, fuck, nobody can see the light bar. Shit, fuck, put a slit in the top of the touchpad. Oh, my God.
I remember seeing that for the first time on my my Spider-Man PS4 Pro, the controller that came with that. I was like, oh, that's new.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Number 4. Oh, first off, Lord of Pwn says in the thing, the analog sticks aren't actually smaller than the patent for the DualShock 5. That's you're wrong that I can't see. He doesn't source. He just says, so take it with a grain of salt. Number 4, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp is getting paid subscriptions. This is Hayden Taylor at GamesIndustry.biz. Nintendo has revealed plans to introduce a 2-tier paid subscription model to Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. Released in October 2017, the mobile adaptation of one of Nintendo's flagship franchises has grossed around $111 million lifetime revenue. However, following the surprise implementation of the subscription model in Mario Kart World Tour, Nintendo has given the green light for a similar system in Pocket Camp. There is currently no information on the pricing and limited detail on features, but according to an in-game update, the 2 tiers will offer very different perks around admin and storage. Nintendo will reveal more details on Wednesday, November 21st, when it releases some new videos. Cool.
Yeah.
I stopped playing Pocket Camp a long time ago, so if you're in there and you want admin and storage perks, go for it.
I know Joey Noel and Lauren Beasley plays co-captain of Extra Life. Like they would always go back and forth and try and get stuff from each other in Pocket Camp. I never hopped into it myself.
It was fun. It was a good time waster at the time, but it's like, cool, I want Animal Crossing. And it looked like we were close for a while, and then they kicked it to next year. Yeah. Hey, Barrett, I don't laugh at you when your heart gets broken by Batman all the time. Don't break my Animal Crossing heart, all right?
I just want to bring you down with
because your
me.
heart's also broken.
I know. Trevor Starkey, I can't wait to see what these videos about storage and admin in Pocket Camp are going to be. But the November 21st is still so far away. If I wanted something more immediate, say what came to the mom and grop shops, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kinda Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
He actually memorized it.
Yeah, wow, that's good. Before we do that, let me tell you about the sponsors because this is a long show. Out today! Railroad Corporation on PC. Blue Kid 2 on Switch, Santa Tracker on PC, Dino Drifters on PC, Oil Mogul on PC, Paul's World on PC, Space Shapes on PC. Enjoy, PC players. Dorks.
Okay. I'm coming here on a Monday. Yep, it's going to be a PC.
You're going to get some Paul's World. Can't wait to see what that's all about. New dates for you. Kerbal Space Program Breaking Ground, which is an expansion, comes to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on the 12th. No, that's right. Damn, I went European for a second.
You did.
Damn, weird.
You're getting all ready for
December
your
5th.
governor.
I'm ready. Oi, governor! coming on the 5th of December, ain't we? Oh, Santa Tracker. Next for you, Nintendo Switch Lite flip cover and screen protector accessories are a great way to help keep your new Nintendo Switch Lite screen in great condition while gaming on the go. Each Nintendo Switch Lite flip cover and screen protector set includes a flip cover for the Nintendo Switch Lite system and a protective sheet for the LCD screen. The Nintendo Switch Lite flip cover and screen protector will be available to purchase exclusively online beginning December 8th at a suggested retail price of $39.99. The set will hit stores in early 2020. Then, Spin Tires Chernobyl is going to be available for PC on Steam and other digital distribution platforms December 13th. Trevor?
Yep.
We've been great about peppering in the reader mail, but I still got some more for you. All right, so I'm going to find you a good one here.
All right.
Because, of course, you can write into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, be part of the show. So many people have. We're going to start with a friend of the show. You hear him all the time on here, Frankfurtter. Frankfurtter says, "Good morning, Greg and Trevor.
Good morning.
Over the weekend, Ayumi Ito, the voice actress for Tifa in the upcoming Final Fantasy VII Remake, pressed charges against a man, and I believe a woman as well, for making threats to her because they didn't like her. I know Kind of Funny promotes and preaches be nicer to one another, but what if people don't? Should famous people and individuals alike be pressing charges against these people who say they want to kill or harm you just because they don't like you? Or should we just let the norm be the norm and ignore it and then move on and continue?" Frankfurter. So summary. Voice actress gets these hate tweets, pretty much hate messages, right? Of like, I fucking hate her, I'm gonna kill her, I'm gonna stab her in the back of the head.
Yeah, that's like the specificity of the messages, I think, is what like elevates this past like, oh, bad tweet internet death threats. I pulled it up, the Kotaku article on this. The gentleman who was charged threatened, she makes me want to stab her in the eyes and gouge them out with a knife. And then the woman who made the threat similar, I hate her so much, I want to kill her. I'm going to stab her in the back of her hand with all my might. So, like, the specificity there, I think, is what elevates this to a more credible threat, maybe.
Yeah.
Even there, like, I think you're going to see a lot of times in these situations, you're going to have, like, they can report report it to the police, and then the police have to kind of say, is this credible or not?
Sure.
You know, what's the likelihood that this person's actually going to come and stab you in the hand with all of his might or all of her might? But I'm also not opposed to people like putting this out there and basically saying be better. Like, hey, you can't just get away with this. You should not just get away with this kind of like language or threats or any of this kind of stuff. So if people want to start saying, hey, this is a threat to my life, I feel concerned for my safety, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pursue the full extent of the law against you.
100%.
Hopefully that passes the message along to the millions of other people that are out there doing it on Twitter, thinking it's anonymous and stuff, and they don't get behind, like, they just cut it out.
100% behind her doing this. Fucking throw the book at him.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to act like an asshole all the time online. This isn't a freedom of speech thing saying you want to kill somebody, you want to stab them in the hand or the head or whatever. Like, no. You're going to act like an asshole, you're going to get called out for being an asshole, you're going to get in trouble. And that's the thing of, like, you hope that by reporting this, it would have a chilling effect on people doing this, right? Like, it's the reason that Fortnite banned that 17-year-old. Like, guess what? He's banned.
Yep.
We're not backing down because you can't do this because we don't want this in our game, our ecosystem, right? Like, yeah, fuck yeah. Get him.
Yeah.
No, don't sit there and be like, well, we're going to ignore it. Like, no, that's not cool. Henry from Sydney writes into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and says, "Hey, Greg and Trevor. Like so many, I've been playing and enjoying Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order all weekend long, but it's left me with one question. Is the game actually good? The combat is fun enough, and all the Star Wars parts are great, but if this were just a generic new IP, would we be nearly as forgiving of the technical bugs, design choices, and downright bad platforming/traversal mechanics? Do you think it's even possible to objectively judge a game that's relying so heavily on nostalgia and built-in fandom? Would love to hear your thoughts. Keep fucking that chicken." Henry from Sydney.
I haven't heard keep fucking that chicken in a while.
It doesn't come up often.
Yeah. This is the question I was alluding to earlier when I mentioned my distaste for Breath of the Wild, because I very much felt the same kind of way with Breath of the Wild. If that was a new IP, original IP, I don't think it would have got nearly the love and attention that it got. Ultimately, I think the game's fine, but like I think it's bolstered by the legacy of Zelda behind it, and the fact that it was doing something different for a Zelda game. But no, I don't think it's possible to pull that out of this. Anybody who's reviewing this knows, like, you'd be very hard pressed, I think, to find a non-Star Wars knowing person to come in and review this game. And if you did, like, that's a perspective that you can go and seek out. Like, oh, I've never played Star Wars, but I'm going to play, or I've never watched Star Wars, but I'm going to play Star Wars Fallen Order.
Even the amount of people who are coming out that I never enjoyed Star Wars.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, in the same way, like, I don't think you could pull. It'd be interesting to look at this as like. Or I think, and one of the things we saw with this, because of the IP of Star Wars, I think a lot of people are getting exposed to the Soulsborne type of games that they wouldn't have, necessarily gravitated to before that.
Yeah.
So I think all of that plays a role in how the games are perceived and expected. And I think you guys do a good job in your review talking about, hey, there are a lot of issues with this game, but like it nails Star Wars really, really well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's kind of the perspective I think I've seen a lot of.
I think it's a good game. Yeah. I think if you removed Star Wars from it, if it was a generic IP, it wouldn't get the acclaim. It would be a much slower burn to get it out there for people. But I still think I'm playing it because I'm not the big of a Star Wars fan, right? Like I like Star Wars, period. But I'm not like Tim or anybody else.
Right.
So like for me, we talk about it in the review, right? No spoilers. But I appreciate that they didn't do the Battlefront 2 route, right? It's not shoehorning in characters that don't, like, you know what I mean? It is, if you were to remove Star Wars from it, it would just be a cool space opera that I'm in and I'm jumping around platforming and using a sword. Like, that would still be fun to play. I would, like, right now as I'm going through and trying to platinum it, I'm not there because, man, I'm existing in Star Wars. I'm there because combat's really fun and I enjoy exploring and I'm in this one thing and I need 3%. Where is the one secret I'm looking for? Like, that's cool.
Yeah, I think the gameplay loop of it is good enough that take Star Wars out of this, and it's still a fun, enjoyable gameplay.
Yeah.
I think it could have been. I mean, based on my early impressions, I'm only on the second or third planet at this point. But I feel like it could have been cooked a little bit longer. With all the bugs that people are seeing and stuff. But again, you want to try. Like the company's gonna, and we see this increasingly these days, where you get it out. To get it out, and we'll patch a lot of that other stuff in post. And there's enough of this that can be fixed that's going to make it a better and better game.
When you play that game, in a month and a half, you assume, it won't be that way in terms of the weird loads that I'm having in Kashyyyk right now as I run around. I'm like, why is this happening in the middle of nowhere?
All the people who are going to get this game for Christmas are going to love it.
Yeah. Barrett, you got anything to say? I know you're a big Star Wars kid. I know you like that.
It's fucking rad. I think I agree with you where I think it's just barely Star Wars in the consideration of what its story is. Like I think those are still great characters and stories that if they were existing outside of the Star Wars universe, I think it would still stand up on as a story on its own. The gameplay is great. I do agree the bugs. Oof. But I also think that they were probably pressured to put this game out by EA or Disney in the same quarter as a major movie release and a TV show
and
release.
Mandalorian and all that. Yeah, that's it's a perfect
I would not be surprised if they wanted to put this game out next year. But also next year is it's a busy time next year.
It was a great idea to do here. You know what I mean? Because again, like to my comments on Friday of like. Man, it's been kind of an interesting week.
If this one,
it's not a week. What about X, Y, and Z? And then this game comes out semi-broken, and we're like, game of the year.
Yeah.
And if this went up against Cyberpunk or anything, we would not be talking about this game as much.
We'd be like, what a fun action game.
Yeah, I don't think the game needed that much more time to cook. So like pushing it to Q1 of next year. Like EA does that all the time. They did that all the time with like the BioWare games and whatnot.
Right.
Like that's the end of their fiscal year. So if they really need to get it in by the end of the year, that's their move.
Yeah.
Right.
But they really wanted to get it out now, and they could get it out now without having to wait until Star Wars Episode 9 is out there.
Right.
Yeah. It's time to squad up. This is where one of you writes into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You give me your name, username, platform of choice, why you need help in a video game. I read it here. The best friends come and find you. Everybody plays games together. Today we're doing something different. I usually don't do Twitch reads, right? Because it's just that. But instead, this is a very special young man. This is Greg Atlus. You might not know Greg Atlus, but you know Greg Atlus. Of course, the first in line for any kind of funny event. He was first in line for every Up at Noon. He came on Up at Noon. He did the Quiet cosplay.
Yep.
You've seen Greg Atlus around. Greg Atlus.
Got the Naruto.
Exactly. Die hard, kind of funny best friend. He's trying to stream more and more. I'm urging you tonight, Monday night, 8 p.m. Pacific time, go to twitch.tv/Sandman420XL. Sandman420XL. Send Greg Atlus some of that sweet, nasty, kind of funny love. Time for You're Wrong. Of course, you can write in if you're watching live on Twitch. If you're watching live, twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. You can write in to You're Wrong, which is kindoffunny.com/You're Wrong, which then will influence the decisions we do on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Basically, you tell us what we screwed up as we screwed it up.
All right,
we did a good job.
Nanobiologist.
No, we peppered him in. We did really good. Okay. However, Darth Whacker writes in, says, Kinda Honeys was a name adopted by the female fans of Kinda Honey. Kinda Honeys was a name adopted by the female fans of Kinda Funny. Your ad read claims that more than half of them use the bra. Hopefully you don't actually have this information and are just stealing the name and using it for your significant others, which out of Joey, Gia, Jen, Paula, Barrett's fiance, and Dee, I doubt more than half use. Please provide facts and proof. Motherfucker, we've talked about it before that they do, all right? Calm down.
I think he's going more off of like any kind of honey in the community. Do you know that half of them are?
Well, no, because hopefully you don't actually have this information about the community and are just stealing the name and using it for your significant others, which out of Joey, Gia, Jen, Paula, Barrett's fiance, and Dee, I doubt more than half use. Please provide facts and proof. Calm down, everybody. And also, I would think, and unless you are Darth Whacker, if you are one of the female founders of the name of Kinda, I really doubt that any of the first run of Kinda Honeys are offended that we're calling our significant others Kinda Honeys. And we also sell a shirt Kinda Honey. So like, calm down. Everybody calm down.
I'm gonna quote one Anthony Carboni. Be cool, chat.
Be cool, chat. Be cool, chat. Everybody.
Be cool.
All right, be cool, everybody. And then Lord of Pwn says, Go Freak on Reset Era posted comparison images of the DualShock 4 and DualShock 5 patents. From those images, you can see the analog sticks are the same size. I personally checked the sizes between the patents to confirm. Thank you, Lord of Pwn. Great, as always.
I'll throw one out there that I thought Nanobiologist was going to get me on because I heard it when you were going through the IGN rundown of the things that aren't in
4K.
Yeah. I said 4K, and you pointed out that no, it does have 4K on TVs, just not on the browser yet.
Yeah. That's this episode. Kind of Funny Games Daily. Let's run you through the rest of the week. Tomorrow it'll be me and Imran. Wednesday it'll be me and Gary Witta. Thursday it'll be me and Imran. Then Friday, Imran and Fran, because myself, Tim, and Nick are all going to London. Remember, you can go to @TheIndieBoy1 or @MCFixer on Twitter to find out about all the community events surrounding our World Tour meet and greet. We're very excited to come hang out with all of you. Trevor, where can people keep up with you?
You can keep up with me at Trevor J. Starkey on Twitter, formerly Snarky Starkey, but I got rid of that a few months back. And then you can keep up with everything we're doing at That Nerdy Site at That Nerdy Site or thatnerdysite.com or patreon.com/thatnerdysite.
There you go. Thank you so much. You did a great job, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
And congratulations again on That Nerdy Site. I'm very proud of all of you.
Thank you. I'm very excited to see where we go with it.
Me too. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.